I want to introduce Magatte Wade. Where is she? Oh, there she is. Okay, stay there for just a second, because I want to say a little bit about Magatte. I think the fact that we're on the continent of Africa is so important. It's our first time, and we have a lot to learn about Africa and Morocco. And I can't think of a better way than to introduce Magatte Wade, who is our first keynote speaker. She was born in Senegal, educated in France, and she launched her career in San Francisco. She's the founder and CEO of Tiossan, which Anna already mentioned, a high-end skincare line. And she was mentioned as the young global leader by the Davos Global Economic Forum and one of the 20 youngest power women in Africa by Forbes. She's a writer, Guardian, Huffington Post, and Barron's, and she's a force. What I love about Magatte is she loves Africa, and she is so passionate about the continent. So I asked her, would you please come and educate us? We need to know a little bit about, East and West and North and South and Morocco and the history and the indigenous parts of wellness and so on. And she knows all of that, but it's her passion that was really, really touched me the most. So please welcome Magatte Wade.
Thank you so much, and thanks to Susie. It's very interesting because I thought my hair. Sorry. It's an interesting journey for me, standing here in front of you all today. And I look around the room, and I only see few of me, right? This is a great tribute to what Susie and the vision that she has come with to have someone like me here today. The other thing is, she said, I love my continent. And yes, I do. I love my continent because this is the place that has given so much to everyone else, but has never been recognized for it, or at least not properly recognized for it. Today, we are making efforts to say, oh, Africa this and Africa that. People like me are not merely happy with Africa being the last frontier. Because today, what does it mean for most people, Africa being the last frontier? To most of them, it just means, oh, MAC Cosmetics now can open stores in Nigeria and in South Africa. It means Estee Lauder, oh, finally realizes there is a market in Africa. That's what today Africa, the last frontier, means. But make no mistake, and please, as you go and create new spa places on this continent, do not make that mistake of thinking that Africa being the last frontier means I'm going to go to Senegal and create another Four Seasons, the way we know it. I'm going to go to Namibia and create another Hyatt Regency the way we know it. I'm going to import the rest of the world to Africa as we see it now, and that is the Africa is a new frontier. And why shouldn't you do that? Well, of course, it's just one of the simplest reasons of why not to do that is, do you really want to be recreating the old, same, passé stuff? I don't think so. But most importantly, what's going on today, at this time in history, is something that people like me were so fortunate to be born into. It's the fact that I'm standing here and we're in the 21st century with very exciting phenomena. One of the most exciting phenomena is this demographic that I call the cultural creative demographic. Has anyone heard of that demographic before? And to me, those people, I'm one of them, hold the future, and they hold the promise of a better life for all of us. Why? Because these people care. They care. Everything that they do, everything that they purchase, has meaning and purpose embedded in it. Those people care about me having a better life. Me as an African woman having a better life. And they're also willing to look me eye in the eye and say, you know what? I see you as my equal. And I do think that you have something to contribute, and I'm waiting for that to come, because that thing you can contribute to me will make my life better. I believe it in my heart of hearts. That was not always the case. You see, I don't like to complain. I believe very firmly in the Michelangelo quote of criticize by creating. So criticizing by creating, we will do. So we have a cultural creatives that are here. We have the fact that just copying, bringing, importing stuff to Africa, not really, sexy. But most importantly, you have people like me now who are part of the deal, right? I will not watch anyone come on my continent and tell me what a massage really means, and tell me you push aside your background, you push aside those wonderful massages you have relied on for hundreds, thousands of years. Now I'm going to bring you Swedish massage. Right? Or now I'm going to bring you Ayurvedic massage. Don't do that. I won't let you. I will challenge you. And this takes me to the next piece, which is, what could the future and what will the future look like? And it will look like what I'm going to talk about. How fast we get to it only depends on how much resistance I get from the industry. And what I mean by that is, you see, today, and I am a spa snob, a spa freak, name it, I'm crazy. Everywhere I go around the world, I have to go to spas. Everywhere. But you know what kills me the most? Is when I walk into some of our most fancy spa in South Africa, and what do I see? It's all Asian-inspired spas. And I look at it, and it also takes me to another thinking. It is the 21st century. Yet, nowhere in the world do I know of an African-inspired spa. And then we wonder about, what should the future be like? What should it look like? It's rich. How come that in the 21st century, I travel around the world and I do not walk into one place where it's African-inspired? I can find Ayurvedic, I can find French, I can find European spas, I can find all types of spas, but not that. So it's a little bit of a hint there of what could be. Now, let's leave all of that alone for a little bit. And you guys need to feel lucky, because you know what? This is me with no sleep. This is me with no sleep. So I'm being gentle. But now let's try to be a little bit more, let me take you back to why I believe in all of this and why I will fight for all of this. I am standing here in front of you right now, and we're in beautiful Morocco. I don't know how many of you have heard, just a few weeks ago, a little fisherman's boat that tipped over, and little less than a couple hundred people died. Have you guys heard of that? No. Some of you, yes. Those boats are full of Africans, sub-Saharan Africans, most of the time Senegalese. I'm from Senegal. What's going on? Basically, I have some of my most entrepreneurial young people, because people who are willing to take the risk to go abroad, whether it's to go to the US or not, legally or illegally, those are usually some of the most entrepreneurial people, because you have to be an entrepreneur at heart to take the journey. And so those people basically are right now laying at the bottom of the ocean serving as fish food. Why? Because they were trying to go and find jobs, right? And there are many issues. There are many reasons as to why we don't have enough jobs on the continent. Now, when you think of that, my pledge to this room is for each one of you to make the commitment, because it is in your best interest, and it's also going to be an economic viable reason to do, is to think about ways to create many, 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 many more jobs on this continent. And we're lucky that the spa industry is very labor intensive. And I do know, and I do hear about all the complaints about standards and skill sets and all of that. But don't look at it as a challenge only. It is a wonderful opportunity, right? So this is something that I definitely would like for you guys to keep thinking about and try and do something about it. I promised you I would talk to you about why this is all meaningful to me. I think I cannot tell anybody my story, and I cannot get anyone to understand why I have this crazy fire in me unless they do understand where I come from. I was born in Senegal, the west coast of Africa, like I told you earlier. And in my life, I was fortunate to encounter three different cultures. First one was the indigenous wisdom of Senegal. And you know, when I was younger, I was raised by my grandmother in Senegal. So what happened then is she allowed me not to, she allowed me not to go to school. Because all I wanted to do was lead a group of little boys. I had a clan, I still have a clan, of men, usually. And I lead them around because men like to be led. But don't tell them that they're being led. And so my grandmother said she doesn't want to go to school, she won't go to school. And I think what it really helped me retain my sense of independence and my sense of critical thinking. That was huge for me. So then, a few years later, family back home, you know, in Europe, my parents find out, oh, she was not going to school. She's not going to school. This is getting out of control. Now we're going to bring her to Europe. And that's how I found myself in the middle of a winter, deported to Germany. That was rather scary. But you know what? My grandmother had told me before I left, she said, when you go to the shores, they will speak a language you don't know. They will have ways and habits that you don't know anything about. But I don't want you to be scared by it. And most importantly, do not allow it to impress you to the point that you feel inferior. Anything that they can do, any language that they can speak, you can as well. Because guess what? They're only people, and you are a person. So when I went to Germany, I listened to that. When I heard them all speak German and I didn't know anything about it, I just allowed myself to go with the flow. And 6 months later, I was the best in my class. And after a couple of years of being very, happy and totally integrated into school, I even had my little boyfriend, Johan. My parents are like, well, now we're moving to France. I'm like, are you kidding me? So then we're packing back up and we're going to France. And in France, I had the same problem because although we spoke French, it's one thing to speak French and it's another thing to practice in school. But there too, I did exactly the same thing, found myself to, the same improvements. Everything was great. After my studies in France, I decided that France was going to be too small for my ambitions. So I packed up my bags and I moved to the land of opportunity, America. Dragged my little boyfriend of the time with me at that point, and to the US. Didn't really work out, but oh well, we tried. So when I came to the US, I started in San Francisco. And there in San Francisco, I was a headhunter in finance, doing quite well for myself. But one day, driving down on Big Sur, I'm sure most of you know Big Sur because it has some of the most beautiful spas in the world, and I totally broke down. I broke down on that highway. I had to stop my car, otherwise I would end up in the ocean. And what happened to me then? What happened to me then was this feeling that I have been enjoying everything that the life had to offer. Yes, mind you, I have worked really hard for it, but still, how could I enjoy anything when who I am is not respected around the world, especially back then? Every piece of paper you open, it's Africa at war, Africa disease, Africa, name it. It's all disasters everywhere you look. And at my work, people called me Frenchie. So you can understand that unless you really have no moral integrity or no intellectual integrity, I mean, it's just like the very best of me is taken and given to something else or someone else. But I bet you that if I stole, killed someone or anything, they would be right away like, oh yeah, that African immigrant over there. That is what has to change. So, I'm in San Francisco, I'm having this breakdown, and I make a pledge with my creator. I say, God, this is really bad. I don't know what I should do, but I know that I will not have peace until I am part of a renaissance of some kind of Africa. I want to be in a place where people look at me and they take it all. It's all. It's all of me is Africa. The good, the bad, all of it. It's me. And little did I know that he was probably listening. Because a few months later, I had an epiphany moment. I was in Senegal, and I was showing to my husband then the beverages that I grew up with as a child, and one of them was hibiscus beverage. And people said, and my husband, we couldn't find the beverage. And do you know why? Because in my country, if you've made it, you do not drink those indigenous beverages, however good and healthy they are for you. You just don't. Because guess what? Because status is where it is. It's with consumer brands from the West mainly. So anything that comes from you is no good. That's at least how a lot of us in Africa think, whether we admit it or not. There is this lingering sense of inferiority right there. And how could you blame most of these people? When you look at the past, plus you look at, I travel around the world and I go and I see these big, how do you call them? These big posters. Yeah, help with hunger here, and there's malaria there, and there is this, and there is that, and every time I see a black face next to it. What does that do? It's sending the very subtle message to you, me, that you good, me bad. So then we wonder why people have no self-esteem, and why people don't respect their cultures anymore. That's why. But how do we fight that? I think academics tried, we have people like Martin Luther King and all these people, they did great jobs, but I just feel like the next frontier, actually I think the last frontier is going to be through consumer brands, and this is what also takes me to your industry, the spa and wellness industry. Because this is a place where we're going to be able to work together to communicate with the rest of the world the true assets of this continent and get a lot of people to be like, oh my God, we had no idea this was going on and this was taking place over here. So this is the one way in which we can really change the perceptions that Africans and non-Africans have of Africans, whether they admit it or not. So this work, the work that is done by the people in this room, carries the greatest importance for me, because you will help me change the perception that the world has of my continent and of my people. That's the power of what you do at this point. So how are you going to do that? I have to help you do that a little bit. And this is when, Susie was talking about, Magatte's going to talk to us about the different parts of Africa. How many of you here have gone to sub-Saharan Africa? I see a few hands. That's good. So when we hear the word Africa, there are so many different parts, there are so many different cultures in Africa. In my country alone, we have more than 100 different dialects and languages. I don't know how many different types of tribes we have, of people who look alike but don't share much in terms of who they are, culturally speaking, right? And I made Susie and Nancy laugh the other day because I told them, I said, did you know that the Rwandans are basically the Swiss of Africa? Who kind of knew that here? The Swiss of Africa. The Rwandans. The Rwandans, yeah. And I told Susie and Nancy, and they were laughing. I said, you know, in most of that part of Africa, in Rwanda, Burundi, Malawi, all of that, you pay attention. Have you ever noticed that the women don't use their hips there when they dance? West Africa, it's all about the hips. There, forget it. It's like really, really bad manners. Did you know that? Right? Morocco and Senegal do share great friendship because somehow the religious brotherhoods, you know, some of ours were kind of trained here back in the days and all of that. Senegal happens to be a French-speaking country and also mainly Sufi Muslim country. Did you know that? Good. So these are all the different aspects of everything that's going on in this continent that we should all take and work with Africans here to play with. And you know what's missing right now is what I call the packaging and the branding. It's not well packaged, it's not well branded. As a matter of fact, right now, I'm struggling with something. I intend to win the struggle, but it is a struggle. You have noticed how now African ingredients are getting hot in the skincare industry? But do you ever hear people try to go down the path of, oh, this is inspired by the traditional healers of Africa? I know now why people don't go there. Because the minute you say traditional healer of Africa, then people are thinking witch doctor, witchcraft, stuff like that. They're thinking like people in caves, you know, like with monkey tails, and you know, like pokes and this and that, and it's just bad. No one would think of that with, ooh, nice creams, I'm gonna look beautiful. No. So even the term traditional healers from Africa has been hijacked by the media. When really, what is a traditional African healer? I was born in Senegal, and there forever, as long as I can remember, my grandmother has been putting on my skin these beautiful lotions and ointments created by our village doctor. See, way before modern medicine, we had these medicine men and women who usually would all have a garden and also have access to the forest in which they understood all the secrets of plants, botanicals, and minerals. That's what the traditional healers of Africa were. They also understood that wellness and health was not just about, oh, I'm going to give you a product and you're going to use it. For us, we look at wellness in a very multi-dimension. It means the cream you apply, the way you apply it, and the intention you make when you do it matters. Here we think it's all product. It's just product, and science, 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 science. Us, we're like, no, it's this. This is also, what I'm trying to do here and to say here is to try and share with you the richness of what's here. And because of what's here is so rich and so unique, it's bound to create different experiences for people going forward. So two things are going to happen. Or, like I said, we all join into this journey of, you know what? We're going to go and we're going to discover the real Africa in all of its diversity, and we're going to repackage the whole thing to something that the 21st century customer can relate to. Or you're going to try to come and choke down my throat everything that has been happening so far. And like I said, it's going to be a battle. It may be a long one. I may be at a disadvantage to start with, but I will knock you to the ground. Because that's the future. I am the future. Now, before I poke you some more, I just want to know how much time I have so I do not go over. I have no idea. I'm not seeing the paddle yet, so I'm happy. What is it? 16 minutes? Oh, good. So 16 minutes to torture you some more. But it seems like you like it, so let's go. I've done with you guys something today that I usually don't do. I allowed myself to just be free on the stage. You see, although I never prepare any of my talks, I don't. I always come with an agenda. And with you, I didn't come with an agenda. I came here, and I just allowed myself to share with you. So I am here, and we're talking about all types of things, but one thing I'm getting from the vibes in this room is you're all following me. And I think my instinct was right about this group. I didn't know this group until Susie invited me. And what I discovered is a very you guys feel like a family. And I must say, yesterday my plan was, because I can be very snobbish sometimes, my plan was, I'm going to go to this hotel, I'm going to have a couple drinks, and then I'm going to sneak out. Do you know what time I went to bed? What time was it when we left? Yeah, after 1. I usually don't do that. Because, I love my husband, and as soon as I can get back to my room, we're like Skyping, I'm working on other things, and this is the first time I did this. And most importantly, the first time I come on a stage, just trusting my instinct, just talk to these people. They will get it. And that's what I love about this industry, because your industry is naturally a conscious capitalist industry. I like to use that word, conscious capitalism. Anybody heard of that before? I love it. And that's what your industry is all about. Because your industry technically lies on foundations where you have to rely on authenticity. And you also have to go and work as much as possible with indigenous cultures and indigenous people. The only thing that I will ask of you going forward, though, is we have to make the constitution of this room a little bit different. We have to work towards that. And I know it's not because people in this room didn't want that to happen, but this is the challenge going forward, and it has to be, I would love that when I show up at the 15th summit, that the world is here represented at the executive level. Do you think we can do that? Yes. I think we can. So this is what I am asking of people in this room. And there are going to be many of us who are going to be helping you guys on the journey. I have to pause for a moment. And why? Because of what I feel right now. When I asked you, you said yes, and I believe it. So it's touching for me. There's so much work to do. And here, I'm just going to give a huge kudo to one group, just because they happen to be the ones I know the most, and I love everything I know about them, and it's Six Senses Spine Resorts. The way they do things, it's so amazing. And so Anna, whatever you guys do, you and Neil, it's so wonderful. And I hope that you come to many more different places in Africa, and that you guys get to do the same thing. I just feel like I don't have anything else to tell you guys, because you are so into this. You breathe and embody everything that I believe in. I don't even know if there's anything else that you want me to share with you. It's not because you're given 45 minutes that you have to take 45 minutes. I'm very strong about that. I came here, I did my work with you, I feel really good and strong about you. there is no need to keep on talking to you. Thank you.